Welcome back to the channel, everyone. You're in for a wild ride. Today we're diving headfirst into the craziest, most jaw-dropping scenes from the hit medical drama The Pitt, the show that makes Grey's Anatomy look like a routine checkup. So let's grab your scrubs, prep the crash cart, and let's count down the moments that had our pulses racing and our minds blown. Let's dive into The Pitt.
Didn't touch her. Did she trip off the platform? Nobody knows. The other guy jumped down, pulled her off the tracks just as the train was rolling in.
This scene was pretty gnarly. I'm surprised they showed something like this on TV. So this is a lady who fell onto the subway track and hurt her foot in a really bad way. She's got a degloving injury, as you can see there, and that means exactly what it sounds like. As if your hand or whatever was in a glove and the glove is taken off, ripped off, and that's called a degloving injury. So all the skins come off. And she's also got a fracture of her tibia and fibula. Those are the two bones in her legs, so it's a double whammy. She's in a lot of pain, and there's some conflict here, how to manage that pain. All in all, it's a pretty gnarly scene. They've done it pretty well. Except the degloved limb. I haven't seen a degloved limb look exactly like that. But anyway, it's pretty cool. Yeah, have a look. Not for the faint of heart. Looks like they did what's called a popliteal nerve block, where they actually give local anesthetic to the nerves supplying the leg, so she doesn't feel the pain. But it's really difficult to manage pain in a patient like that. Ooh, and that looks pretty nasty. And I think Javadi doesn't like blood. And they're going to try and set the leg as well. Yeah, that looks a bit rubbery. So special effect. Oh, and there we go. Yeah, that happens quite a lot. Oh, e-scooters. So this scene again, pretty nasty. There's a couple of things that, or one thing that I didn't really agree with in this scene. But yeah, e-scooters, very dangerous. We're getting a lot of accidents. Young kids not wearing helmets because here in the UK they're not road legal. But they do ride them on the roads anyway. Think they're not going to get caught.
Tacky at 120, pulse ox borderline at 90.
Low by at 15 liters for now.
Neck contusion, larynx shifted to the right, no crepitance.
4 of morphine. I'm gonna stick something in your nose to stop the...
Oh, I wouldn't do that. Rapid rhino, when they haven't CT'd his head. Just because if he's got what's called a base of skull fracture, that might be disastrous.
What's up?
Good vitals. A&O. Let's have a...
Youch. Okay, that's a good effect. It looks a bit CGI, but that's called a Lefort 3 fracture. This is essentially a fracture of most of the bones in the face, so the face is like floating. Yikes. So yeah, stay away from e-scooters. That was a good scene, just for that. Okay. And here's one of my favorite scenes from The Pitt that I've seen so far. I've done a full episode reacting to this and explaining it and breaking it down. You can watch it. The links will be in the description and above you somewhere. As you can see, he's got a nail. They've been playing with a nail gun, naughty boys, and he's got shot in his chest, and more specifically in his heart. It's got a really good intubation scene as well. All the scenes are good. They're real.
The tube.
I mean, I couldn't distinguish that from a real scene. So they're trying to secure the airway, and they got a really nice image with the video laryngoscope, and she's putting the tube in. That looks really good. Again, if you want to watch the full scene, or you want to watch me breaking down the full scene, just check the links in the description. Again, all the imaging spot on. And it looks like he's bleeding from his puncture wound in his heart into the space around the heart, into the sac that's keeping the heart enclosed. It's called the pericardium. And he's going to go into what's called tamponade.
Dr. Garcia, do you think
and this is the really cool scene. They do a thoracotomy, which is they will open up the chest to try and get to the heart and try and get control of the bleeding. Again, it's not done very often. especially here where I'm practicing in the UK. It's very rare because we don't have that many gunshot injuries, but we do have the occasional stabbing. But usually you'll see it in areas where there's a lot of gunshot violence, and this is really good. The special effects team have done a spectacular job. It looks so real. I guess I'm gonna have to blur this out, but it looks pretty real. They actually take the nail out, which is kind of dangerous, but they're gonna just keep a finger on the hole and stitch it up, and then he goes to the cardiothoracics for further management. Very short, but it was really done nicely. And again, you can watch the full breakdown on my channel. Oh, this is another one of my favorite scenes. Shit indeed. Yes, Whitaker, our young intern, ran into some trouble with a patient who's just had a tonsillectomy, apparently in another hospital, and he's having a tough time getting the ENT guys to come down and see him when this happens. And this is more common than you think after you have a tonsillectomy. You can start bleeding, and this young guy's bleeding like mad. So what's the concern here? They're concerned he's bleeding out, yeah, so he's going to exsanguinate, but more of concern is he's going to lose his airway. All that blood is just going to go, back into his larynx. It's going to... So they need to secure his airway, and this is where they run into problem. They can't see where they're trying to put the breathing tube down, and if that breathing tube doesn't go in, that young guy is going to die, because he's not breathing for himself now. They put him off to sleep. But there's just so much blood there, they can't see what they're doing. So the backup plan would be to make a hole in his neck and do a tracheotomy.
With Madonna.
So they're trying to just pass a bougie in blindly. The bougie is that blue stick that they're holding. And they'll pass the breathing tube over that, but looks like no luck. Again, I've done this a react and breakdown of this scene as well, so the descriptions will be below and above.
No time to play MacGyver with this kid. Time to pray.
So we got some tension there. The surgical resident wants to go in the neck, but this is really cool. So they're going to do what's called a retrograde intubation.
Okay, I'm in.
And in a nutshell, they're going to pass a wire through his neck, and it's going to come out his mouth, and they're going to pass a breathing tube over that wire. It's oversimplified, but again, I can break it down. I've broken it down in my previous videos, but this is a really crazy scene because this happens when you have a difficult airway, and it can be very stressful. But they handle it well, and they show something really neat. The retrograde intubation doesn't happen every day. See that wire waving around, and there you go. It's come out his mouth. And if you don't know what the hell's going on, watch my video about the retrograde intubation. That's nasty. As a critical care doctor and anesthesiologist, airway stuff is always it strikes a special place in my heart. Well done, Langdon and Robbie. Yeah, don't be too overconfident though. Yeah, you got skills. Lots of people got skills. And by far, for me, the craziest scene and one that strikes home is this one.
Hard at work?
Yeah, this is something most health professionals, especially those who work in the emergency department, will face sooner or later. It's violence towards health workers, and this happens not just to the hospital workers, but more commonly to ambulance workers. And we see the guy who did this at the beginning of the scene. It's typical, got an attitude. I mean, here in the UK we got a zero tolerance policy for violence and this sort of behavior. I mean, you can get blacklisted, you can get kicked out. I mean, healthcare is a right, but that doesn't mean you can be violent and you can use bad language. And they've got the right to refuse treatment if he does that. If they feel their safety is threatened. I mean, I don't know how they get away with this sort of thing.
I have insurance. good insurance, and I pay my taxes, which pays for them to not have any
And yeah, he's kind of the typical specimen, you'd say, that you get who comes around shouting things, thinks that everything revolves around him. Unfortunately, he is getting treated. I think he came in with chest pain. He had an EKG, and he had his blood test done, his troponins. So you gotta wait for the second set of troponins to come in if the EKG is inconclusive. So he can wait in the waiting room if he's stable. He's awake, he's talking. He doesn't need to go in.
Sounds like a CYA form in case I drop dead on the curb.
That's exactly what it is.
I just want to be treated fairly.
And it looks like everything was explained to him.
We are not back here.
Look at that. How can you come back and punch that lady in the face? Just some people are just assholes. And you know what? If he keels over and dies, I wouldn't give two hoots. Seriously.
Crazy people.
Anyway, yeah, those were the craziest scenes I've seen so far. Remember, links to all the detailed breakdowns I've done are in the description, and try and watch them, please. And thanks for watching. If you like this sort of content, if you want me to continue doing detailed breakdowns of episodes from the Pit, let me know in the comments, and please subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.